YouTube's Upside DIY. Welcome to this small air pump review. Uh, this is the intake. When this plunger, expands, it's going to allow that to open. It's a little flap, a circular flap or something. One side of it might be glued to allow air in, and then this bottom one has a flap in it too that allows air out through the airline. But my main thing to show is I removed this all the copper wire. I took out this nut. This motor was easily removed. This blue wire used to be connected. As you see, it's not. It used to be connected over here. The thing is, the blue wire did not contact any metal. It was just sitting inside of this slot that the workers just soldered on. This did work for a few minutes, but the current buildup would only last for a certain amount of time. 12 years, 14, long, I've had this air pump, and it worked for 1 week. The magnet can be adjusted. The magnet isn't aligned that straight to, very straight. But the way how they should have really designed this was this negative side should have had some type of a contact with this these layers of where the ground would have been. This ground is made this way in transformers to help release heat, to have a certain way to manage or to disperse the heat more, just like in cooling. I forget what they call it. Air fans or fins. They're basically used to disperse the heat more evenly and throughout situations like that. So the way how they made this, there's actually a positive, which is a red, that goes down in the slot, and then they wound up a lot of wires, really fine wires too. The thing about it is the machine wound up this piece, and then they glued it onto the metal piece, or the metal core, I would say. That creates more of not a torque, but just a magnetic field or whatnot, and it's being, the heat wise helps. The heat sinks, yeah, there's heat sinks, helps. But the only thing wrong with this was there is actually no current. With the actual current, I mean, maybe nothing was really wrong and I'm just making up things, but as how this looks, this ground wire wasn't really connected to a real ground, unless a little bit of it was touching this metal, and I think that's what it was doing. But then somehow, it just didn't make contact anymore, and just open the circuit, or just didn't, and it wouldn't allow the real actual current. There's magnetic fields and things moving this magnet, but the real problem was actually probably this negative wire. Either it was breaking off a little bit, or it was losing contact with the negative side. which was a really small part or really small contact. The positive side was really connected. I can collected the fine. I could wind them up again and use them as retracing certain circuits and things for other electronics. So I try to save up as much as I can in the beginning, because I don't have that much, and all I did was just save it inside of a cigarette pack. It's actually sitting, I just stored it away. But I could twist up some pieces, and then I could use it in tracing and reflowing other devices. But through all this YouTube and learning process, you get to find out the goods and the bads. How people put these or made these, manufactured it. There's this small alignment pieces that are grooved for the heat sink part of the core or the motor core, and then there's just a side for the positive and a side for the negative. But all in all, just cleaning these things up and re-looking at things. I don't have the cover for this, so I'm not gonna want to wind this back up and get this to work right. But if I did, it will be a little bit hard, but I can still manage to hand wind as much as I can. And having problems with the positive side and the negative side, I'm gonna have to try to adapt what I can and connect this blue wire better, maybe to this nut side, and test that. If I were to wind this back with some better wires, I can definitely try that later on. If I find the core, here are the two cover back screws that I did not lose. There's one and two only. This hole right here, it's just a cotton type of filter type thing. It basically helps drain any moisture or something like that, or filter in any air. Actually filters in air, because air does have to come through here and be pushed in throughout this air line. So that's most of my DIY on this motor. It's really interesting stuff to see how how things were assembled, and then how and any ideas I could find can be pretty much useful and helpful. I would definitely like to have a nice motor, and what I would do is actually I would actually have to try a few things, especially winding it, reusing what I can. I would actually have to desolder things, clean things up, rewind this, and then I would have to find a way to get this negative side to contact the current involved. And it's really hard to judge and guess these, because these wires are actually on a positive and negative side of this plug. So and the house electricity usually has a positive side and a negative side. The positive side would actually be a smaller size plug, and the negative side a larger size, and things like that. And how some things aren't always because are implemented. The thing about it is it's just good to learn. It's just good to learn. But definitely this negative side just does not contact any of this heat sink negative side, it would actually have to go down. This copper piece would actually have to go down and touch some of this negative current side, and that would complete the circuit, and this pump would actually try to keep running. But it, you know, since this doesn't connect, it just builds up a lot of the you know, I'm pretty sure that's what's supposed to be happening with this positive side, just charging up this then this you know, technically a magnetic field. I don't know, maybe it is touching this negative side somehow just within the core. I don't really see anything. It's actually supposed to be separated, because if they both touched, it would just somehow create a heat spot and things, and start a fire and things like that. It would short out. Most positive and negatives aren't connected together the way you would think. There's different, it's more of a magnetic field type of completed circuit. Or if you don't, you know, separate the positive and negative, it will start to heat. You know, they make like heaters, and, you know, they even make metal forges and things during that by using that type of effect to create heat and fire. This is more of a magnetic field situation, is my guess. But it's really interesting to finally, or to have something to work on, to study, you know, to get cleaned up, to look forward to, and finding the cover for this. You know, just keeping in mind, you know, some of the real parts with this positive, making the coil, and then being glued on to this core type of heat sink. But then all in all, it's pretty much showing me that they didn't, you know, fulfill one of the electrical requirements in completing a circuit. But maybe that's just how transformers work. You know, there's still a lot of more research to learn and to get to work with. But yeah, pretty much glad to get at this point. Maybe I missed some funny jokes and things. You know, funny DIY or good DIY solutions by having a crescent wrench and fixing this. Just the small stuff. But when it comes down to it, I still gotta look ahead and, you know, have some content for my channel. This one is a brain wanderer. It just doesn't make any sense if this negative side isn't connected to complete a circuit. And where does this positive side end up? You know, it's just gonna, you know, just be a lot of positive energy trapped in here, and, you know, somehow calling its negative buddies that aren't going to, you know, have what they need to keep. Well, anyways, that's my YouTube video. There's a lot happening with this. I really, you know, I really can't. I'm really fine. You know, there's a lot of devices similar to this in microwaves. It's good technology that we have to fully understand and have our opinions about it, and how to make more. It really makes a lot of things convenient. So wrapping this up and things, not knowing if it's going to fulfill the circuit, but, you know, there's some proof that this did work, but it just didn't work all the time. Maybe there's other examples of the negative being connected. But that's just my questions and answers for now. Have a good day, Upside DIY. Take care. Bye.